Yeah,
the
master comes from like being able to get everything fixed.
How's everything else?
Is it just accuracy even? You know?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I'm sure you obviously would know.
Because
I've got the wrong boxes, I'm sure it's accurate. I'm sure accuracy matters.
Yeah. It was 10 years ago I started the company.
Yeah.
Wow, they're
yeah,
really that long.
I
Houston. We're probably really early on that.
in context reporting.
Well, it's interesting. You know what? That something reminded me. I remember.
I guess this one was adventure.
2000, spring of 2002. So I got into Cornell.
Yeah, so they're interested in doing
I didn't know anything about like third. I would have been like third generation. Far from.
I think he's gonna keep
I don't know why I
because it
didn't
makes
want
sense
to
for
go
him to be in
there.
Houston.
But I still went for like the Frost weekend or whatever. And I remember they were doing a demo of their RoboCup. I think at the time, like there were multiple sizes or whatever. They were like little things. And I just remember they had this like this motor they do like a they would have the robots do like drills on them. And it was like so cool and coordinated, like the little dance they were doing. Like you know, with passing around was like a little golf ball, like it was cool. Yeah.
And like I was like,
but it still was like that was available.
yeah, and I was like,
doable at some scale.
because I got so excited.
You know, like
One of my friends
they had some smaller ones, so like consulting.
also
Yeah.
and these teams
Yes,
one
so they're
robot.
doing.
So I used to meet it like all the time.
do you know what the they want different classes? It's like humanoid class, and it's like different sizes.
Okay, but I think I'm too.
Because it's funny because like I remember like at the time I would tell people they're like no, this is impossible cardio. I saw it with my own eyes.
I froze like
Okay.
They're actually missing it now, so
Like that's like the they were just they were cylinders, they were a little solid. They just had like a little wheel on them, they went backwards like a wall. They used the rules to hold on to the ball, right? Just the backwards thing, like just keep it like trapped.
Probably do.
It's amazing how I mean, I think a lot of it.
Yeah, well, probably because at the time it was very cutting edge.
Yeah, so my
They just brought him in, and I was like, So, I know, because he was on, because I wasn't sure how much consulting was. You what? John Shaw?
Yeah, it was really it's cool. The company was the company I was talking to. So the guy from Cuba is
It's like now I think about all the research that they're like for sure one of those things there was like it was a machine vision problem because they were operating all the like cameras in the ceiling like I mean like they could coordinate they didn't have to like each robot do its own machine vision. They had machine vision.
Okay, I thought that was a product that they didn't dig into that. Okay, that's good to know. Maybe that makes sense a little bit more.
I think they were kind of they were controlling these like
so yeah, they already replied, but I didn't know if they did less efforts.
In an area
It's kind of like
the auto industry. Our solutions can actually
So you have him,
analog snippets.
one of the
one or two others that are caught early, but like one of them.
So I have a friend from college who was an early employee at
This was in Houston, sold in Houston.
yeah, and I was asking about that, where the car from. He ended up leaving, but he's
Try to
friend. I don't exactly know
car line.
Houston area. He's been to stations in Houston, sold chocolate. He's like a service car, but I want to get
very
him
senior
in.
guy, tell him like president of the division for that couple of years ago.
What also says, yeah, and you have to, I mean, I tried to get conversations with
Yeah, but you're talking about the
emailing people,
authority system they use in
back,
Europe.
what's gone,
The one that comes from the
see the car, they're like, talk to the person, they're like, fortunately, you can't test drive.
Yeah, this is measuring the difference between frames and then we're doing different.
Is there a way to
So you
figure
use
out how much without, I mean, I was trying to figure out
They were doing like imaging based like camera like what you see around you.
yeah, it was a private company. It was acquired by Jive.
And they were doing like I guess
Car Story also has
more
a consumer interface
It amazes me that accelerometer like I always want I should play around that.
based on
It's like there's super cheap.
yeah,
Yeah, like how
it wasn't a lot more detailed than
it's like it's kind of like good solutions to make computers with GPS go. Like GPS fails.
No, we're community based.
And you imagine they stronger, like you just park your car, you could actually find out what floor it's on in the building, you know?
Exactly.
It's sort of just
So it's got a lot of accurate car, like,
Well, they're not
It might be really
they're really accurate. The errors can add up.
well, it's like your starting speed is really important, like getting in. Like when you're like start recording, like
No, I'm not pitching. I don't think unless
align correctly and flat,
come up with
like
a company on the
whatever
spot.
point you want to start recording from.
I'm
You
excited.
can't
We
just
just
expect to
got
track it
highlighted
where it is in three-dimensional space forever.
Right, exactly. But they work pretty well, and you think with the camera at the ground.
And obviously,
Make the camera kind of interesting.
yeah.
It's kind of like a funny part. Like, I mean, I'm sure with the Recon camera, like, the camera was a super low light situation, you know, so like,
Oh, yeah.
to like
So
kind
that
of
was something
measure
the
distance below us, you
accelerator
know?
But it would have to be
team,
perfect,
when
right?
we came up with, we
Really
wanted to also highlight women entrepreneurs and bring in women
Anyway, I thought that
from
was-
other cities in Texas and also
It is kind of
highlight
funny.
I mean, all the other ones were
bring
like,
investors as well. Bring in prominent women in tech.
No, well, tech students are great. I think it's fun
Panels
now,
lined
low
up.
tech. Just like just simulate
I'm not gonna think calls that we talked to like probably 3 hours about it.
It's just not as, I mean, you're right, it is pretty high tech actually.
Have founders first, so basically it's like a founder summit about
Yeah,
women.
it's conceptually
That
very
head
good.
up women entrepreneurs.
Well, hopefully this will.
So yeah, so August 24th.
Yeah, I went to the last one, I kind of enjoyed it, and just, like, I actually thought I learned a lot of that, just like, not so much just being here, but like the thoughts on it, like, thinking about afterwards.
Learning how to do that, it's a combination and understanding what their life
It's so bad, like, this whole story metaphor too, like, I think it's weird, and it actually brings them
Bring you
around.
founders, bring them in.
They throw this word and they
Station in Houston and the deck and
a friend of mine
hey,
was
you
like,
each
So
bring
it's just like an automated.
brands business in Boston, and then we'll bring in speakers. So I'll be speaking.
so it's good that
Well, I was just trying to grab like I can color myself.
She's the first one to color.
It's like I can give it.
empathize with, so you don't see
Hello world up there. Yeah. Well, it's, I mean, that's like
and like, oh, you're trying to create
She had the while ago, yeah, that's like
type.
microgenerator soccer balls that you can sell.
Really, really narrow, not as wide as you
Plug it in and have
want
like,
it
so
to. It's just like,
so if we get rid of
things
the awesome,
are not visual, and like, so it's like the first thing you, like, what you're saying, people doesn't, like, immediately creates like visual image for them if you're expecting it to, like, or at any point you're creating a visual image, like,
well,
yeah, if you could, that'd be great. We definitely,
yeah.
use the slides.
I think I want to look at myself there.
Don't really take time.
yeah.
I mean, it's always better to talk.
Yeah.
No, I was actually saying like
So,
it's kind
I
of
mean,
like
yeah, so we're
slides
trying
are
to- so
like you should
it's
only need the
downstairs
slides
and,
to show something like surprising or like or show information. You know, like
Yes. Or maybe just a tone.
no, you can accomplish other things like just like in terms of like what is the material being presented. Because like the images
they have, founders, so exactly
Yeah.
kind of like founders on it. Focus on.
Like, most, but
So it's gonna be a most of the day thing. So it's on a Thursday, and then we'll have happy hour at the end. We'll have networking lunch, breakfast hours there.
20 seconds of slides.
oh yeah, there's two
Thursday
different
for
ones
20.
there.
So
Yeah.
Paula, I think we split everyone up. Paula, I think is gonna reach out to you about it, but yeah, we're really excited. So.
Yeah.
It's cool.
It's interesting. It's just like
it'll be
I mean, I've seen
the end of
people
the
kind of like cheated a little bit, where like one slide is like a zoom in or like circle part.
It's like a double.
Because we
Yeah.
really show that carbohydrates and just it's also
But maybe I just saw you.
to show that you know one of the purposes to show that Texas is better.
I think I want to try to do the lighting stuff,
That's why we got some.
but I have no idea what the lighting is.
Yeah, okay, so there's definitely.
Ignite.
Ignite.
The other format is
You don't
Ignite.
want to.
That's 20 slides.
Whenever you want, maybe right now.
Okay, so pretty similar.
And here you
Yeah, and this
go.
one is,
These are the folks that signed up to pitch today.
yeah, 20
Some
slides.
that might pitch at the end,
Yeah, it's like
if they want,
yeah.
like,
so much more stuff makes it sound better because like
Yeah. Thanks, yeah, no, we're excited, yeah. You know, so I think, yeah, so.
I don't think we're all there.
Yeah,
They go over 5 minutes.
I would put your hand and then yeah, he's really awesome as a founder.
I guess like the goal is just raising
Not a challenge.
Yeah. Some are just
like
wanting to practice.
each
This is
like
more or less a picture and
presenting
we've
the
got the
middle
space
amount
downstairs. So we want to make sure as many founders.
So I have like
And then
a
after that,
interesting
you know,
like
it's tickets
It's actually probably a good guideline for your slide. You should say everything on the slide in 20 seconds. The slide's correct.
yeah, we're gonna do that first and then secure it. Yeah.
There's full on
some of them.
Yeah, I went to the. No, I don't. We work for it's a big data company.
I've seen it. Oh, it's pretty awesome.
Hey y'all, so we're gonna get started now. My name is Josh Kerr, not to be mistaken for Josh Bear. Both Joshes are bald. Josh messaged me yesterday and said that he wasn't gonna be here today, wasn't gonna be able to go, and asked if I could cover. So I have a presentation. It's kind of quick, but it's fun, and it's about sort of how to win a pitch competition. And a lot of the sort of story that I'll tell sort of, you know, has great tips that distill down into being great at pitching in a competition, but also being great at pitching in front of investors, and even, you know, as an elevator pitch. And so, so I'll spend 15 minutes sort of doing this quick presentation, and then we'll start calling people up to come pitch. And we've got 2 other awesome judges here today that will be providing feedback. Matt and Jan, you guys want to just quickly come up and just introduce yourself?
Oh, come up and introduce
Yeah, or stand up and introduce yourself. Yeah.
Well, welcome. Glad to have you. Glad to be here. I'm Jan Ryan, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I've done a gazillion of these. I've been on both sides of the table, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know yet about, you know, where you're coming from, but it's a thing that you want to get comfortable with and master, and be able to really just understand how to make it happen and pop quickly. But I've successfully exited 2 companies, and now I'm in a phase where I'm really doing a lot of investing and mentoring and doing some executive coaching and consulting for private equity companies. So that's a little bit about where I am, and a partner at Capital Factory.
So I'm Matt Cohen. I have also been on both sides. I was a VC here in Austin. Then I started my own company where I raised both angel and VC capital. And now I work with Josh Bear on the Capital Factory Venture Fund. Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, same kind of advice, that a lot of this is about practice and listening.
Yeah.
So.
And so just my quick background, also a serial entrepreneur, so I've been on both sides. I actually went to a pitch competition a number of years ago called Demo Conference, and actually won like the top prize. And most of my success came from actually working with people at Capital Factory who kind of coached me through it. So I'm going to just share what I've learned from all of that with y'all, and then and I'll make it kind of quick so that we can spend most of this time having y'all come up and practice, because actually being here and getting up here and doing the practicing part is a huge hurdle, because it really is hard to, you know, stand up in front of people and try something that might fail. So you're already winners that you're here. So this is me winning this award at this pitch competition. This basically can be you as well. Like, I'm an introvert, I'm shy. You know, I get nervous being up in front of lots of people. But I went and did this thing, and it was really hard. You know, I was successful, so if I can do it, like, there's no doubt that y'all can do it. So why do you care about winning a pitch competition? Well, you get a boatload of exposure. You win, you get like social media, you get like, you know, people talk about you, you get news media. It's awesome. You also get a ton of money, so you get new customers, you get investor inquiries, you win the competition, you know, you win the money for the competition. So, you know, it can be pretty lucrative. You also get validation. So it kind of validates that the thing you're doing actually, you know, has a, you know, market interest, or, you know, it's worthy of winning the competition. So, and it feels good actually to get that validation, especially if you've had a challenging sort of path to get to that point. It kind of gives you extra fuel to like want to, you know, do more of your business. I sold my company 6 months after winning this pitch competition, so it actually was a significant factor in sort of one of my startup successes. So that was pretty awesome. So winning is actually really hard. There is no easy way to do this. They call it a Demo God Award because you really need like the hand of God to like help you win this. And a lot of these competitions are technically challenging. They're Murphy's Law, like if something can fail, it definitely will fail when you're on stage, pitching in a competition. It's psychologically daunting. Like it's scary to do this. It's scary to practice even for it. Like getting up here today, y'all, it's not so easy to do. And it requires, and this is a really hard part to really sort of wrap your head around, it requires like more resources than you have. Because if you're focused on building a startup and you're thinking about product and customers, to spend the time that you need to spend to win a pitch competition is actually pretty expensive. So if you were going to win, like, how would you go about doing it? Well, you definitely want to get like your mind ready for it because it is a hard journey. Like your life, your friends, your family, like, forget that. There is no shortcut. So I made this deck a while ago, so these at the time were the ones that were like the kind of bigger ones. You want to pick the right competition. So if you're going to go, if your product like really resonates with consumers, like Shark Tank is probably a great place to go and win, So yeah, you should make sure that like the competition fits like, kind of what you're trying to get out of it. Getting accepted is actually like the first sort of challenge you'll have. So, they get lots of these competitions get a ton of people that apply. And so you want to, how do you sort of network yourself into getting accepted? And so one of the things you can do is figure out sort of what the focus is that they're looking for this competition and make sure that you fit that focus. You want to find the leadership, try to like network with them, follow them on social media, interact with them as much as you can. Demo conference came to Austin. The organizer that was head of it came to Austin and I met them there, and that was kind of how I got in. Have a fancy, like, cool thing that you can do that's a hook. And so for me, I told them that, I wanted to smash a fax machine on stage with a baseball bat as part of my presentation. And they were just like, oh, that's awesome. Like, we would love to have that. It would be good for our competition. It would be great for media. And so, so like within a couple days, they were like, you're in. So having a hook is like super helpful. A lot of these competitions are expensive. Like demo conference costs $10,000, and there's no way that as a startup I could afford $10,000 to like go do this. So Josh Bear actually taught me this. Like it's all negotiable. Like you don't have to pay what they're asking. You can negotiate your way to paying very little. I actually paid nothing to go do it, which is pretty cool. Understand the rules. Like this isn't like an obvious one, but there are definite rules to the competition. Like you want to make sure that you understand them as boundaries for how you're going to prepare your pitch. So how do you create like that great pitch? So these are really the important ingredients. You want to start with a problem. So like what is the pain that people experience? What is that problem? You want to try to craft it in the form of a story, because people are more interested in listening if it's in the form of a story. Also, there's if you get lost during your pitch, or if you kind of get nervous and make eye contact with somebody, or you forget your lines, having it in the framework of a story helps you find your way back. The audience is not going to be an expert. Like, don't assume that they're an expert. Use 4th grade language, in your pitch. Don't assume that they understand like complicated terms. Break it all out into really easy things. The more you can demonstrate pain, the better. So if there's a visual way or some other way that you can show pain, it's pretty powerful. If you're going to demo your product, make the demo really simple. Even if your product can do all these other 100 things, show what you need to show that like demonstrates the pain that like people experience. And then you want to end with like something that will give people a lasting impression. And the ultimate goal is that the people that leave your pitch competition go and tell other people about how awesome it was, and they need to be able to explain what it was that they saw. And so the lasting impression part is really important because it helps define sort of how they tell the story about you or repeat it. So practice is really important. So like stage fright, for example, right? So you know, it's pretty scary to get up on stage. What causes stage fright? So there's 3 like main factors. It's your genetic makeup, which you have no control over. It's the stakes of the pitch competition, right, which you have no control over. And then it's your mastery of the content. So if you are genetically more likely to get stage fright and the stakes are high, you should be like an ultra master of your content, because that's the only way you can mitigate that and stay away from being stage fright. And then practice. So I can't stress this enough. I already have like 3 slides to say practice on it. Practice in front of your friends and family. Use YouTube, or some other video platform as a platform to send out, like video yourself pitching and send it to people for advice. Pitch at work, pitch to strangers. This is really important. You want to pitch as much as possible in awkward places, because when you're up on stage, it's really awkward and uncomfortable. And the more you have practice pitching in uncomfortable places, the better you'll be at pitching when you're up on stage. So, or in front of investors, or So you want to like find as many awkward places as possible and pitch like that. Here was me pitching on Vimeo to Josh Baer, and he gave me some really critical feedback, which ended up being amazing because it was really helpful. So, video is a great tool for getting feedback from people. Eye contact will mess you up. Like, no doubt. Like, you will be up presenting, you've memorized all your stuff, everything is going great. You will make eye contact with somebody and forget all of your lines. And this happened to me. So Walt Mossberg was in the front row and I was pitching, and for those of you who don't know who he is, he was at the time like a very prominent tech writer in the Wall Street Journal, and he's a celebrity, and I was like, oh my god, Walt Mossberg, and then I forgot all my lines. And I'm on stage, and it's like, what do I do? And so this is coming back to like, tell the story. So my pitch was in the form of a story. So I kind of remembered back to, oh, this is a story about this, and I found my way back. And if you ever watch the video of this pitch, like, you would never know that I forgot my lines. I mean, I could show you where it happened, but it would, because it was in the framework of a story, I was able to get back. You can practice in front of picture frames of people who are looking at you, and try making eye contact with them. It really does help. It's just like a strategy tip for that. If you're demoing your app, it will crash. So you want to mitigate that as much as possible. So the way you do that is you try to get the environment that the app is going to run in when you're on stage that's close to the environment that you're practicing in. So that might mean showing up early to the competition, connecting to their Wi-Fi network, trying it out. If you're doing a live demo, like, you're more likely to experience this. So you're probably safest not doing a live demo, although that's not as cool. I'm not really going to spend too much time on this slide, but if you are successful, you want to be like ready to capture that success. So the best, like the most successful pitch outcomes are that you prepared for what success would look like, then you won, and then you took advantage of it. And so you have to think about that. I didn't do that as well. I ended up going on vacation immediately after the pitch competition, so I spent my whole vacation on the beach, trying to do all of this stuff, and I probably should have delayed a vacation. Dressing up your pitch with style. If you see people laugh, like for example, pause and like let them laugh. Like these little sort of timing tips like actually reinforce like how much fun they're having, and they laugh harder and kind of get more into the mood. So it's a good thing to do. If you're having fun or making it look like you are, then the audience is more likely enjoying it. Live demos are much cooler. You want filler material, so 3 to 4 paragraphs of stuff that is not part of your pitch, but like when your app crashes and you have to restart it on stage, or you have to reboot your computer, or you have to do something that's really awkward that was unexpected. Like, in awkward silence is like death, so have filler material so that you can keep talking, Be prepared to ad-lib. So for me, I'm smashing a fax machine on stage with a baseball bat. So I go on Amazon to order a baseball bat. And I don't actually notice, because I went for the cheap one, but I ordered a junior-sized baseball bat. So that was a good pause, to let y'all laugh. So I'm like, okay, I've never hit a fax machine before, so I have no idea what's going to happen with a baseball bat. Like, I didn't take it out and practice this. And so I pitched to organizers, when I hit this fax machine, screws and plastic are going to fly everywhere. It's going to be an explosion of fax machine parts everywhere. It's going to be a glorious event. But when so I'm up on stage and I'm at the part where I'm hitting this thing. I've never done it before, and I have a smaller and lighter bat than what I'm used to. So when I did take the first swing, I hit it pretty hard. It kind of just shook a little bit. And I was really scared then. I was like, oh no, like, I should have practiced this before. And so I took a much harder, swing for the second one, and it kind of started to fall apart, but it didn't really explode. So I ad-libbed, and I just picked it up and threw it on the ground.
Wow.
That ended up being, exploded into lots of pieces, and everybody cheered. It was awesome, and then here's a photo of me running up to accept my award. And there's me making a speech after I won. And and so that's kind of my cliff notes on how to win a pitch competition. May the demo guys be with you. So now it's your turn. So I think I've got a list of companies that want to pitch today. So what we'll do is I'll call you up one at a time. You'll come up, you'll give us your pitch. Paula's going to time you, so you have a certain amount of time. And then after you pitch, we'll give you feedback, and then we'll go to the next person. So watching others pitch is really valuable too. So you kind of want to pay attention to the feedback, because everybody's feedback should be valuable. So we're going to limit feedback to just judges for now. So cool. So the first company is Dan Hussey from Diffrengen.
Are you connected?
That'd be a good idea.
Okay, sorry.
Let me know when it's done.
Okay. Start. All right. So I guess we'll frame this into a story, and all good stories have a beginning, middle, and end, and this one really only has a beginning and a prequel. And before, also, just to kind of rip the Band-Aid off, I'll break your hearts. This isn't software or hardware. It's actually a biologic therapeutic. So this is a biotech pitch, and I'm trying to do my best to create, the awkward environment right off the bat. So, but we'll start with the beginning, and we'll get to the prequel. Don't worry about all the little words. We'll just bring you through it. Diffrengen is a company that was founded on some really basic science that happened almost 20 years ago by the scientific founder, George Tazinski, in a lab in Philadelphia at Temple University. And he was doing some really basic science, and he was pulling out a specific type of protein from lung cancer samples. And he was the curious type, and he just dove into the rabbit hole and kept getting deeper and deeper in what's actually happening. What's the underlying biology behind this? And over the subsequent 15 years, he pulled out a specific signaling molecule that really lit up the immune system and at the same time halts a specific type of tumor growth. And that tumor growth is leukemia cells. And leukemia cells are a huge problem in healthcare. They disproportionately affect the elderly and the young. And it's just a devastating disease. The survival rate is really poor, and I'll get to the statistics. It's shocking, but that's one of the driving factors and the motivation behind what we're doing. It's not just about making money for us, and it's really about bringing this therapeutic protein to patients. And through the research has transitioned into a company over the past 10 years, where George and some business partners of his, through some federal grants and matching funds, they were able to start to show that this really works in mice. And it works in mice that have human cells in them. So we're just proving that the science works along the way. And then, dialing it back again to our motivation for doing this, leukemia. Hopefully you guys aren't familiar with it, but the survival statistics are really bleak. And there's a lot of new science, and it's really wonderful and inspiring area. It's not tech, just the way I'm interested in what you're doing. You know, there's something really core about this that brings in everyone I talk to. And, you know, essentially there's some new innovations and there's a lot of commercial backing behind this, but there's a real thirst for new technologies and new biology that could really ignite and create better therapeutics. So, you know, to kind of bring it home in a visual sense, how this is working is it takes cells like these that are not able to differentiate. They just keep replicating out of control, and that's really the heart of cancer. And then it halts them and stops them into a static state. Now chemotherapeutics can become effective and the body can start clearing these naturally. At the same time, in parallel, it's activating the immune system. And this is like the heart of a lot of the most exciting biologics that are coming out today, like Keytruda. You might have seen commercials for that. All the CAR-T work that's being pioneered at MD Anderson, it's really at the forefront, is activating the immune system and turning the body against cancer. So that's the science behind this. And there's been this, a bunch of scientific publications. We have issued patents. So it's really at a cusp of where what we're doing right now is we're gearing up to bring this into human clinical trials. So we're not really raising money in the sense from the venture group, but we're up for about $2.5 million in non-dilutive funds right now. And we're just building our team, polishing our pitch deck, and we're just getting the word out there about what we're trying to do. So that's kind of our story and where we're at right now. I'm just, I'm excited to be a part of the entrepreneurial community in Austin. Excited to cross-pollinate with different fields as well. So that's us. You're welcome. Cool.
You guys want to start?
I'll start. I love this, by the way. Very interesting. I think I would have loved for you to even catch me quicker, though. Josh talked about the hook, or he used another word. I talk about the hook. Right at the beginning, you could foreshadow an outcome and get people very interested in what you're about to tell them, the story you're about to tell them. So you want to go right into that, not try to set the stage. You really don't need to do that. And I know you're doing that because we're in this classroom, but it's all about foreshadowing what the outcome is. I think you mentioned it's activating the immune system to turn the body against cancer. Who wouldn't want to hear that story, right? Also, I didn't know who you were enough. I mean, what role you played. Kind of tell us a little bit more about who you are, so we can trust you and as you lead us through this story. Okay. So that's one feedback that I had.
Thank you.
Sure. Unfortunately, you don't have anyone here who has a lot of experience in life sciences investing. That said, I've seen many pitches like this that come out of mostly universities. Mm-hmm. So I thought this was very interesting. Plus, my wife happens to be in this field, so I know this field reasonably well. So I actually think it almost might have been better to do without all the text. Mm-hmm. It's almost impossible for people not to read text when you put it up there. And you're like constantly having to focus on you, which is what you want. Mm-hmm. So I think you probably could have cut out 80% of what's on here, put like the picture of the cell, maybe a picture of the professor, a picture of a person who has the disease, maybe to actually talk about a specific person, to sort of humanize it and connect it. If it's ready for human trials, that's a big thing. Is it about ready to go into phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? How much? So that was my first thing. Was mostly there's just too much in the slides. I think it almost would be better to ditch most of it and just talk, because you do a really good job of presenting it. You're coming across very naturally. It doesn't sound overly rehearsed. That was all great. I wasn't sure what you were asking for. Like, it's great to come up and pitch and like, oh, what a cool company, great. But if you want help or money or publicity or whatever, like, what are you asking for? That part seemed like it was kind of missing at the end. But otherwise, I mean, the other piece really was particularly for an audience that is not super sophisticated about this kind of therapeutics investment, or even those that are, what is it that differentiates it from other things that are on the market? Like, why is this more promising? How is it different? And also the other is, you mentioned a comparable, how big are they? How much money have they made? How long did it take them from this stage to where they are now? That kind of stuff. But overall, I thought it was great.
I thought your style, your delivery is great. You speak slowly, clearly, like you're a natural speaker, public speaker. So it's great. I got real excited when you mentioned the word leukemia, but I felt like it took a while for you to get there. So I agree with a lot of this feedback. I feel like you could have started with a more personal story. If you know somebody who had leukemia and it affected you personally, that's a great hook to get people really interested. So I want to hear what the outcome of that story is. So I think that you could do something like that. I'm not saying you necessarily have to do that, but something like that to just draw us in kind of faster. MD Anderson was a big name that you mentioned, but you kind of glossed over it. The more that you tell us, that it makes us believe that this is a real thing. And so that's either quoting statistics, report numbers, or talking about institutions like MD Anderson that so it's good that you said it. I feel like you could have taken more advantage of it. And I agree, I didn't really understand what your ask was. You didn't seem confident in it. And I wasn't sure if you had already raised $2 million or you were asking for $2 million or so. I feel like you just need to be more clear and upfront about that. So, yeah, it's good.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Cool.
It's good. Thank you.
Thanks again for the feedback.
Sure.
Thanks for saving the world.
And going first.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you.
So next is Roberto Aniti. Did I say that right? And it's
RoboAmp.
RoboAmp.
So thank you everybody for this opportunity. I learned about this event probably 40 minutes ago. I have no pitch deck, I have nothing, so finger crossed and let's hope for the best. So how many of you are entrepreneurs and have their own website or their company website? All of you have websites? Okay. So if we test your website in a 3G, in a phone, in mobile phones, in a 3G network, the average in speed is going to be between 6 and 8 seconds. That's the average in 3G networks download speed for websites. For each second that it takes to load your page, Google estimates that you're increasing your bounce rate between 15 and 20%. So if your competitor has a website that is 2 seconds faster than yours, he's going to have a 40% less bounce rate than your website. So speed should be a priority in any website. So what about if I tell you that with only one line of code, even if you're not a developer, you just copy and paste one line of code, your website is going to load under 1 second in any phone in a 3G network. That would be pretty amazing. Well, that's what we do. RoboAmp is a service that makes your website incredibly fast on mobile phones. Basically what we do is we use a technology that is being championed by Google, but there are other huge companies behind it, that is called AMP. You can Google it. In fact, if you use your phone now, I'm going to ask you to do that exercise really quick. Put your phones out and just Google entertainment news. Just something like that. And you're going to see that the first result are going to say AMP, 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 and you're going to see a carousel in the search result. Everybody seen that? You see a couple of websites that says AMP, AMP. That's another huge advantage why your website should be AMP. AMP is obviously great for SEO because Google is pushing this technology. This technology has been proven already. It's a 2 years technology, so it's pretty much cutting edge. Has shown already incredible result in not only in SEO performance. As you can see, if your website is not SEO, it's not AMP, you're out. Because Google obviously wants this technology. And one of the reasons, there are several reasons why Google is pushing this and I love this technology, so I will be more than happy to chat more about the technology itself. But what RoboAmp does is, with only one line of code, we basically rewrite your website to make it AMP compatible, so it's going to load under 1 second in any phone on 3G network. That's what we do. That's my pitch.
So Matt, you want to go first this time?
Sure.
That was less than 4 minutes.
That's awesome. It goes to show. I think it's a great example of how you don't need slides. I mean, slides are a visual aid. They're an assistant.
Yeah, there is a lot of information that I would like to share about, studies, how much grade is, how the technology, how many huge websites are using it. But I don't have the material with me, so I apologize for not having.
No, that's fine. I mean, this is similar to if you were in a cocktail party or an event or some awkward place. An elevator, exactly. That you're not going to have any of that stuff. So I thought that was fantastic. I think you did a really good job of explaining the benefits. Something that is very visual. For us to all get out our phones, I think to see it immediately. Obviously, if you had a slide, you could show a slide of that. But this was almost as good. Only took a few seconds out of your pitch. So in terms of areas for improvement, you didn't really talk much about your business. You talked about technology. And the thing to remember is that when you're making a pitch to investors, what you're selling is stock or an investment opportunity and not a product. Right?
Absolutely.
The strength of the product is what makes the investment opportunity a good one.
Absolutely.
So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, all right. So it felt like the second half was missing. Like, okay, who do you sell to? How much do you sell it for? How do you get in front of them?
Absolutely.
All that kind of stuff. So that was pretty much it. At the end of it, I was like, cool. I mean, I actually know all about AMP and all that, so I totally get that. And yeah, I just wanted to hear the second part of the pitch.
Well, we can have some minutes later.
Yeah.
So I agree that I thought you did a really good job with no slides. You clearly have mastered your approach and your content, all of that. One of the things that you lacked in this pitch was the ask. We're probably going to say that multiple times today because when you're first getting going, you sometimes forget to talk about the ask.
Absolutely.
So what do we need to do? I, as an investor, also begin to immediately wonder how do you go to market? How do you really understand how to position this inside of what else is in the market? Those are definitely investor questions that are in the back of their mind immediately, especially anything around what you're doing with SEO and website and all of that. You really need to help yourself pop out from that, and how are you going to acquire customers? But I thought you did a great job, and this is now just kind of crafting the things that you need inside of that pitch to really make that come together.
Well, thank you so much for the feedback.
Yeah, so I agree. I think you did a great job, like at the beginning, setting it all up. Like you told the story, you backed it up with data. Like it was really good. The only sort of critique on that would be to just slow down a little bit. Like just take it just a little bit slower. I'm not sure how the demo part went. I liked it that you did that because it's great because we all just take out our phones and I'm not sure how effective that was. So I don't really have feedback on that, but yeah, I thought just overall you did a great job. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So next up is James Lindsay? Linder.
Close enough.
Sorry. I'm reading someone else's handwriting. So.
Well, it's probably my turn.
Oh yeah, I'm reading your handwriting.
Would be my guess.
So your company is Simple Trade.
I have an ancient laptop, so I don't even know if I'll be able to hook it in or not. I created my pitch deck about 45 minutes ago. Decided to pitch, I guess about an hour ago. Do you have a RGB connection by chance? If not, I'll make do. But Chris Farley was a huge feature of my presentation, so I'll be sadly disappointed I don't get to show you.
Do you have a video?
I do.
You do.
So while they're sitting up, so Josh Baer did like a little video series called, with 5 tips for a great elevator pitch, and he posted it on Medium. I don't know if you all had a chance to see it, but Paula can send out a link at the end to that. I definitely recommend taking a look at it.
in Milton.
It's if you just Google Josh Bear and 5 tips for a great elevator pitch, you'll find it.
Isn't there also a 1776 pitch event coming up? Isn't that open to the public? I guess, right, Paula, would you know that the 1776?
The Challenge Cup?
The Challenge Cup, that's literally coming up.
It's on August 10th at Capitol Factory.
Yeah.
I think you have to apply online.
By the 14th.
By the 14th, so I just wanted to point that out if you're interested. 14th of this month.
Of this month,
Yeah.
so Friday.
This Friday.
All right, everybody, my name is James Linder. My company is called Simple Trade. It's a marketplace for used appliances. Okay, so by a show of hands, how many people here have been through a divorce? 1,
Great,
2.
thanks for embarrassing me.
Here, right here. Not too long ago. This is me, circa August 2015, roughly, somewhere in there. I was just getting kicked out of my house, had no possessions basically to my name, went through the whole expensive attorney process and I had no possessions to my name, basically had to start my life over. And if you want to know where I was at, there's a gentleman that might be able to help me explain it if I can get this video to show. Anybody here remember a character named Matt Foley? Right. I'm going to cross my fingers and hope I can get this to play.
Man down by the river.
Who said that?
All right. How's everybody?
Oh, come
Well,
on.
as your father probably told you, my name is Matt Foley, and I am a motivational speaker. First off, I am 35 years old.
Oh,
It's worth it.
that is
I'm
worth it.
divorced, and I live in a van down by the river. You're probably going to find out as you go out there that you're not going to amount to jack squat.
All right, so to sum it up, that was me. I was 35 years old, just got divorced. Wasn't quite in a van, but I had to live out of my car by a lake for about a week and a half. So I had no money. I was a stay-at-home dad at that point. Like I said, literally had to start my life over. So after that sad sack story, let me get to my business. Again, you know, when I started to get myself on my feet, one of the first things I had to do was go out and buy used appliances. I had to get a washer and dryer, so I didn't want to be, you know, nasty and going into job interviews.
Dude.
I don't need to hear about him smoking doobies. So anyways, has anyone in here purchased used appliances, washer and dryer specifically? Okay. I don't know how it was for you. I know for me personally, it was very scary. I like to analyze everything, do my homework. I read horror stories about, number one, the washer or dryer not working. It's number one issue, but also even fires and floods happening in people's homes because these things weren't installed properly or weren't working correctly. So that brings me to that's the problem that I was trying to solve with my company. Again, the scary process of buying used appliances. The solution is a marketplace for used appliances where we would determine a buyer's needs, what they're looking for, help them figure out exactly, you know, specifically with washers and dryers, what features they're looking for, dimensions of the space that it's going to fit into, et cetera, and then find a trusted seller to fill that order. So, everybody follow me so far? Okay. So I am a programmer, not very good, but I've been programming PHP since the 90s, so I threw up a website, simpletrade.ninja, to accomplish exactly that. Very, very early stage at this point, but it is functional, and we do have both buyers and sellers active on the site. The main features, you know, I guess the main benefits of buying through my site is that I impose standards on my sellers that you're not going to find on Craigslist or Facebook or OfferUp or any other platform. Number one, every seller is required to offer, or required to give you a 60-day parts and labor warranty, and they're required to deliver and install your appliances. So we don't even give you the option of doing a pickup. I also tried to install my appliances, and I don't know if I'm an idiot, but it was a massive pain in the neck. It was also very scary, and I figured for my customers, I don't want them to have to face that problem. So just quickly about the market size. I don't know a whole lot about the market size. I know it's pretty big. Just went through Craigslist and looked at the number of listings for used appliances in Austin, some other metros. Cell phones for a long time was the largest category. I'm already at 5? Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Well.
See, we went a little over. I'll go first on that.
Sure.
This one. So. I felt like you started with this pain of your divorce, which you looped the audience into to ask if they had the same pain. But then the real pain is the buying the used appliance. So it's like I didn't make the connection between the two. I felt like maybe you should have just started with the pain of buying the used appliance, because I feel like that's the pain that you're solving here.
Sure.
So I didn't make that connection. I understand that, like, for you, that was how you got into the situation of buying a used appliance, but there's probably a much larger market of people that buy for other reasons other than they just got divorced, and so you kind of want to, like, appeal to that large market if you can.
I like the video. Always what I came down to.
Yeah, I love the video, but I felt like the video didn't do much to help sell your product.
No.
So. It's fun for us to watch it, but I think it's also distracting us from what you're doing.
The main point.
Yeah, which is so it's not helpful. Plus, you can deliver and you can pitch in a way that gets us excited without needing, to use a video. So for someone else. Marketplaces are really hard. So one of the challenges you'll have pitching this, I think, is selling on why you are the person that can deliver this successfully.
Which is what I ran out of time for.
Well, actually, you talk a little bit about like your background, but you didn't sell it well. Like, you need to walk with swagger. Like, you are a 20-year vet engineer, like, who can do all this awesome stuff, and so you're, like, you sold it like the code every now and then. I've been doing it since the 90s or something. Like, you need to like sell it like you're a badass. So I feel like you can do better there.
Well, that's actually what I was doing on my very next slide. I just didn't get there.
Yeah, so
that's great.
That's kind of my feedback.
That's a great point.
So I would agree with that. I'm actually curious where you were going, because I finally get this. At the beginning, I didn't. Okay. So just remember, when investors are there sitting in front of you and you start, in their mind is, what problem are they solving? Okay. That is what's there, and you should tell me, what problem am I solving? So right up front, you need to get to that point. Okay. And then the other thing, I think, just from an attitudinal standpoint, it felt like an apology over and over. You were sort of apologizing for even being there, and I know that's not what you want. So what we all have to remember is that they will take our lead, but we have to be confident in what we're about to propose. Okay. And I think you were sort of backing your way into that. I know at some point here you're getting there, because I can feel the confidence rising.
That's what I was building towards.
But that front part, I felt, like I say, I just felt like it was way too long to understand really kind of what you were doing. And there was sort of an aha for me in there. I went, oh yeah, okay, I get that. And I was also interested, you said, you have customers already using this. Well, don't just fly over that. How did you get them? How many? Okay. That's pretty cool that you already have people using this. I need to know how to think about that, in other words.
Okay.
And then obviously, what's your time?
Yeah.
Some of the same stuff. I mean, obviously, you're going to go over. Everybody's going to go over. It takes practice to get it down to. 5 minutes is too long to give like the one-sentence version, and too short to really go into all the details. Right. So, but there's a lot. Let's say maybe 5 minutes is a little bit long if you just meet somebody at an event. But 5 minutes is like a good length for, hi, who are you? What do you do? And then you can kind of go over like, hey, I do this company, and here's what we do. At the end of the day, you really only need 4 things. What do you do? Why is that going to make an enormous amount of money? Why are you the one to do it instead of somebody else? And what do you want from us? Like, what are you asking for, and what is that going to accomplish, right? And so that can be in 4 sentences. It can be in 4 minutes, in 4 hours, in 4 days, depending on the amount of detail they want to give. So I think the key thing that was missing here was, for me, was like, I'm like, well, I just use Craigslist for this. Like, how is it different with Craigslist? Mm-hmm. And I think you've identified some reasons why Craigslist doesn't work. And I think I would kind of jump right into that. Like, there's a lot of, and you don't have to say, I don't know how big the market is. You can say, look, just on Austin today, there's 2,800 appliances for sale on Craigslist right now. But this many, have been on there for at least a month. So they're clearly not selling. So like, what's the problem here? Like, it's not trustworthy, nobody knows how to deliver stuff, you don't have a truck, but used appliances, like, they lose a huge amount of value immediately after they come off the truck, right? So the reason I bought a used appliance is it was like a third of the price of a new one, and it was just as good. I like went to a place that sold good quality used appliances, so I totally get it, and I think, you ran out of time, but I think there is an interesting opportunity here, at least an opportunity. There is a way for you to defend this. You can show that it's differentiated. As Josh said, marketplaces are very hard, but there is something about appliances. You're not going to buy a used dishwasher from California.
Yep.
Right? It's inherently local, and you can get over some of the issues that you potentially would have with a global or national marketplace business. So anyway, practice, do some more, but I think there's an interesting there. And come back to another one. We'd love to hear you.
Cool. Well, the appliances I chose specifically for that reason, because it's very defensible. It is a local, very local transaction.
Yeah.
I had another marketplace. That's what I was leading into next, was to talk about a marketplace that had before that had a fair amount of traction.
Cool.
Well, thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So next up is Dev Monix. Company is Monix. It's a cool last name.
Okay. I just learned about this event last night, and I'm obviously not exactly professional, my most professional look right now, but and we did a pitch last night. It was our first pitch. We kind of threw it together, and we didn't have it memorized, and we got a lot of feedback that we need at work. That's why I'm here today. And so I don't really have a pitch perfected, so I'm just going to wing it. That's okay, so I'm going to do it. All right, so I'm Deb Mackey, and I left the accounting world a couple of years ago to pursue my passion of online fitness. And my business started really taking off, but then I needed a website. And an app would have also helped take it to the next level. And then there were management tools that I was using, several different ones for scheduling this or scheduling that. Then there was email, then there were the social medias. And everything was scattered in different places. So messages were getting missed, people weren't getting contacted back, tasks were being missed. And the management kind of became more of a time-consuming thing than actually doing what I left my accounting job for, following the passion of helping people with their fitness. So that was the problem. And I started talking to a lot of people, a lot of the coaches that I was dealing with as well, mentoring them, and realizing in order for them to also leave their full-time job and do their passion, they needed something that would help them manage things like this as well. They were having trouble with getting your website. You can hire a developer, but it gets expensive, especially when you're starting out with a side thing. And eye contact. It's starting out as a side thing. And so coming from realizing that this is not just a me thing, that there are several people out there, like tons of people that need a website. You start talking to just anybody, just someone doing your hair, and you start talking about, oh yeah, I'm doing this fitness business, I'm working on my website, and they're like, oh gosh, that's a great idea, I need a website too. So there's so many people who in here know somebody that has a business and has mentioned that they need to get a website up, or that they use a task management tool and that's in one place and their bookkeeping's in another place, and they have all these different systems that everything's scattered. And they log into this, oh wait a second, I haven't logged into this app in forever, and now I need to set a new password, which means I need to go to my email and log it back into that. So then it's just a hassle, and it just makes business less pleasant, which makes your day less pleasant. So my co-founder was running into a similar issue when he took over the board of the HOA. Everything was scattered. He was like, well, where are the documents for this? Where's the contracts on that? Where are the bids on this? Where are the financials on this? And some documents, again, they were lost. People didn't know where they were. Which system was that in? So trying to move everything over for him, he's a developer. He had worked for kayak.com and set up their back-end systems when they very first started out, and helped them grow. And so he was like, this is kind of a problem that I know I can fix, because he loves solving problems. And after hearing about my situation too, he's like, you can apply this to your business too. So let me just put everything, develop something where it gives you a website, it gives you a native app, it gives you management tools for your business, and you can get it all set up within 10 minutes. And that is Monix, which is our software, monix.com. So he is still currently working on the features, or he would be here today as well, learning the pitching. So that's the business, and we are trying to figure out a marketing strategy, whether we should just market to HOAs or we should market to small service businesses. So we're looking for help with marketing. We're looking for JavaScript developers, so he's not staying up till 3 in the morning every day trying to get everything ready. And we're also looking for investment, so that we're growing fast, but we want to grow faster. We're hoping to have everything up by, well, not everything, but a lot of the features up by fall. But if we get investment, we can take that much quicker and bring on more features quicker. So, thank you for listening.
Well, what a great hook that you missed up front, the 10-minute setup. To have all of this, I mean, that upfront thing again was would be a great time for you to
say it at the beginning.
Well, you're teasing people about what you're introducing what you're going to show them. Let me show you how this is going to happen, right? And then you build the problem. One of the things that I think could also be helpful is to understand a little bit more about the customer and the approach to the customer, the go-to-market.
That's part of where we're still trying to figure it out, whether it should be directed towards HOAs, or whether we should just have it as our niche, or if we should make it small service businesses be our niche. And that's kind of where we are really looking for help on this marketing strategy, because we have brought this to several HOAs and they are very interested. But it's dealing with a lot of the property management companies and talking to them in regard to they kind of look at us as competition in a way, and we're really not. Like, we are a tool for them to use, but trying to get them on board with that, that's where we're running into roadblocks. Not saying they can't be overcome, but it's just a matter of running into that roadblock and then thinking, okay, where do we want to take this next? Do we want, maybe this is becoming too much of a cost to acquire a customer this way, and we'd be better off looking at doing the small businesses, because you mentioned this to a small business owner, small service business owner, they're like, oh heck yes, I will sign up for this. So it's kind of a different, it's easier to get a customer that way than it is the other way, although you could get, we feel like maybe more bang for our buck doing it. So it's kind of, that's where our challenge is right now.
Mm-hmm. Understood. I think you're already sensing that you're so early, right? All these are not yet made, the decisions. But just helping us visualize how all that works a little bit more. What it costs, or what you think people will pay, why you think that, who's
We have that up on the site right now.
Yeah, but that's not in the pitch.
But we don't know that.
Okay, yeah. For part of our pitch, what we're thinking to do is to do the live demo, like you had recommended doing, is saying, okay, and so this is where Monix comes in. Go to monix.com, we can get you a setup with your site right now. And then people in the audience can go there, walk through the thing, and they'll have their own site set up within the 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, it should really be under 10 minutes, but if they're gonna be picky about it, be like, oh, I don't know what color I want the site to be, or
Right.
so it's really, a lot of it's dependent on that too,
Right.
so.
No, very interesting, just early, right?
Yeah, we're very early, but yeah, we're getting ready to launch our beta fairly soon. So hopefully by fall, we'll be launching our beta.
Have you had customers actually use this?
We have had, well, no, we haven't, because we have the features done, but a lot of it, we're still doing a lot of the templates to get the feature for the features. So that's part of where the development is at right now. We have our site up so you can kind of see the ease at which someone who's non-technical can get through it. So you can kind of see a little bit of how it's going to be once you do get it done. And the website builder should be up fairly, like, I think that's scheduled for next week. So that part of it will be ready. And we have, we're doing a freemium session. I mean, look, we have a freemium offering, and then we have the 3, well, it's really 6, depending if you're doing yearly or monthly, different pricing plans. So we do have that portion of it done. But like you said, we're just really early, and this is where we figured now is a good time to start learning about pitching, because we're going to need this fairly quickly, because we want to bring on more developers so we can get things moving quickly.
Yeah, so I'll go. So I thought you have good confidence. You delivered really nicely at the beginning. You set up the story really nicely at the beginning. Like, you started small, like, this is a problem that I experienced. Okay. And then you started growing it a little bit bigger, like other people in other businesses experience this problem. And I felt like the next step was you were going to tell me that actually this is a big problem, that, you know, a large problem that, you know, and you were going to set up the size of the market. And then I thought you'd go right into kind of what it is, the solution, but you didn't, and you kind of like lost the momentum for me. So it was like, momentum was getting set up very nicely, delivery was great, I was following you, it was a good story, and then it was like, you know, you kind of started talking about team and then other people problem, and it just didn't. We finally got to the end is when we finally got sort of the description of how you solved it. Okay. And so I felt like you know, you kind of lost momentum. You missed being able to sort of share with me.
Like the statistics on it, like the 50% of the people that need a website that don't have one.
Yeah, it's just like I was waiting for how you solve those problems. Okay. Like, what is this actually? You know, Jen touched on this. Like, what exactly is this? And you know, and even though you didn't show us, you could still describe it in some way that we have like a sort of a better understanding of it.
So the live demo you think would go? Is that something you would recommend in this environment?
Possibly. I mean, you have to, you know, if it doesn't show well like that, then no, then you just describe the solution. But that still can be exciting, especially if it's solving a problem that affects a lot of people, and you know, you know, the pain is really bad. I thought, so the kayak co-founder person sounds amazing. Like, if you have a good team, like, you want to like highlight that and be like, yeah, we have an awesome team, perfect for solving this problem. You know, someone from Kayak, like, you know, that just gives you more credibility that you actually.
Should we go in longer to that at the beginning of the pitch about his background with that? Because he also, like, he's been doing this since he's been 14, working with startups, and he did, there was another startup that when he was 14 years old, that's the first one he worked in, that IPO'd as well. And like, should we go into that though? Because that seems like a lot of like,
no, you don't want to
resume.
You don't want to go too deep. You could just say it, you know, like high level. Like an example, you know, hey, I had this problem personally. I noticed other people had this problem. I met this co-founder from Kayak, which, you know, so Kayak is awesome. Everybody knows. Together, we went to go solve a problem. The problem, you know, the solution was this. Okay. Like, that's a good way to kind of like
to do have a nice flow.
Yeah, okay. and that's a way that people would I think resonate with well.
Okay, people. Cool.
Yeah. Do you have any other?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. So, just at the very beginning, this is Austin. Like, I'm wearing a red T-shirt.
No, I know.
The main thing is for you to be comfortable. Like, no matter what the pitching environment is, even if you go in, you know, you meet a VC, and this is just in general for everybody, but to wear something that makes you feel comfortable, and nothing makes your pitch better than you feeling comfortable. Everything else is kind of secondary to that.
To me, this is not like a professional look, though, and I don't want people to think like
it really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. We're here. You know, half the pitches we get are people who are wearing shorts and T-shirts. So, like, you know, I wouldn't worry about that so much.
But you have to depend on you have to figure out what your audience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, if you're worried that it's going to be completely inappropriate for the audience, then that's fine. But this is Austin, and don't worry about it. You're worrying too much about it.
Okay.
You're confident. You're doing something interesting. It's not like we're not going to invest in your awesome company because of what you're wearing.
Okay.
So that's just a minor point. I agree that crafting the flow of the story and getting to the point a little more quickly probably would have been good. And that would have given you a little bit of time to talk about some of the other stuff, right? So, you know, investors hear enormous numbers of pitches. And so there's like a wall of skepticism between you and an investor. And there are a number of different ways to get over that. You know, and one of them is social proof, which is, you know, I have this problem, so I'm kind of a domain expert and I'm really passionate about it. But like Josh said, you know, you've got this amazing developer from Kayak. There's a lot of companies coming here like, I've got a great idea, but I need a developer. And you've already got that, and you know, the next is like actual traction, like how real is it? And the fact that, you know, you have a great developer who's been working on this, and you know, some portion of this is already done. You know, you're already ahead of some people who are just have an idea. So, you know, to show social proof, to show traction of any kind is a good way to kind of get over that wall of skepticism. Then the other part I wanted to hear a little bit more about was, you know, obviously I hear about all these other solutions, Squarespace, all these others, you know, for putting up a website. You know, what is it about those solutions that doesn't work for a category of customer that is a large enough category that it's going to be exciting, right? And I think this, you know, HOAs may be, you know, is that too big? Is it too small? I don't really know. You could tell me there's, you know, 20,000 HOAs in the United States and they're willing to pay this much. And I could have potentially get there, that was a big enough market, that if you really served that market well, that you could create something that was exciting, right? I just don't have an idea of how big it is, but if it's big, that's great.
It's 133,000 HOAs in the country, and it's growing very fast.
We'll see that there you go, and how much would they be willing to pay? What's the budget of these HOAs?
I think it's 1.2 trillion is spent on property management. I think that was the number that I had researched.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Like I kept my research for that. That was like a few months ago.
Don't tell us now. Build it into.
Yeah, just build. These are the kinds of things you're going to answer in your pitch, right?
Okay.
So, but I think you know, given where you are, you have the seeds of something interesting, and you need to do some more market validation.
Right.
And if you can, you know, that some of that is just going out and talking to customers. Some of that, if you can get there, is getting live and actually showing real proof of, you know, how many people are using it. And then the very last thing is, you know, a low price product is extremely challenging because your customer acquisition costs have to be extremely low.
Right.
And so figuring out and addressing that in some way, there are lots of potentially good ways to address it, but sort of talking about that and how you plan to do it. The go-to-market strategy is particularly critical for low price products. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean,
thanks so much for all the feedback.
Absolutely.
It's been
Thanks
really
for coming
helpful.
So next up is Johan Borg, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's the Tech Rat.
Tech Rat.
Yeah.
Tech Rat.
Oh, did I say it wrong?
Tech Map.
Yeah, I'm reading your handwriting. So,
I know.
yeah.
Handwriting's like a doctor. Nobody can understand it. You have a.
Although I would love to hear the pitch for Tech Rat.
Yeah. We have
I said rap.
Oh, rap. That
like
one too,
rap,
actually.
Rap it.
Okay.
Yeah, but both would be interesting. What would the elevator pitch be for Tech Rat?
I don't know.
That has a better pitch, you know, kind of.
We are a social justice technology.
See, I thought this was going to be a tool to like wire up your building without having to like pull down the walls. You know?
That would be awesome.
That's good.
There's a start.
So let's start with that. All right, hi everyone. My name is Johan Borg. I'm actually the co-founder and founder of actually the Tech Map. We started this because of the co-founder meetup, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you guys attended it before in the past or not, but it's kind of like this event, and usually checking people in is a pain because we use Meetup, and in Meetup, as you can see, people don't put a picture, put the first name, put first initial. So to find somebody in Meetup, it's really hard. So we started creating our own platform where people can actually see the names of the individuals, see where they're coming to attend to the events. So like today's event, for instance, right? If you guys wanted to meet somebody individual, that you particularly would like to know more about them, you will know beforehand, and then at the event you can make a better connection with them. So, especially when you attend bigger events where you have 100 people, maybe you want to meet an investor or a developer, and that's what the event is about that we put together. You want to meet those key people, because sometimes you don't get to meet those individuals. So that's what we try to differentiate ourselves from Meetup and Eventbrite, because they don't have nothing social about it. Now, this is pretty much the profiles, how they show up in our platform. It has the names of the individuals, the companies, the background, and we get all the information from LinkedIn, so we pull that information, so it takes 10 seconds to create an account. It's pretty simple. What we named the tech map, because we have a map that is pretty awesome. I think Josh uses it when he presents as well. I don't know if you guys seen it. But we have all, the technology companies, service provider, co-working space, and investor companies are hiring, the events, locations, and this expands. We actually have over, I don't even know how many companies listed, but we have companies outside the United States. And of course, we have co-working spaces that we're trying to make sure we map. So if you're like visiting somewhere outside of Austin, you'd like to know where's the nearest co-working space or accelerator or whatever that might be. So we make it easier for startups or entrepreneurs to connect with those individual places as well. We have this we created, which is kind of like groups, kind of like Meetup. So we actually were able to pull stuff from Meetup. So if you have a pull from Meetup, if you have a Meetup, you can actually pull all the information from the event and the actual Meetup itself to make it easy. So we connected with their API, and that's already functional. We also did white labeling. So if you have an organization like a nonprofit, all we have here is powered by the tech map, and you're able to make it public or private, where you can have all of your members showing and your companies and your jobs post, or you can have all the parts of the tech map itself. This is the event page. You can show all the events itself. You can map them as well. We have the job, where you can post jobs and stuff like that. This is pretty much the sponsors, how we make money. We have a lot of partnerships. We partner with a lot of organizations that are coming into town and trying to promote each other, cross-promote. We've been in South by Southwest in the past, doing the co-founder meetup and other events, and hopefully this year, next year coming up, we'll probably be there again. Yeah, we were with Tech Week. I don't know if you guys heard of that. I just wanted to mention that. In LA and Chicago, we did partnership with them. So hopefully we'll continue those partnerships going. This is the team, me, my wife, our advisor is Joseph Posher, our employees, we got a couple of them. But we're looking to grow. This is where we're going. Expand. We're hoping to make more than $3,000 a month. Not yet, not the 10,000. Build awareness. Get over 20,000 members. And what we're looking for is $400,000 funding. Hire more employees. Get the iOS and Android app. We already have an app where we still need some work on it, but we will definitely love to have it more native. So that's what we need some funding. If you have any questions, I can show you a video about why we started this, but I guess I can bring it back to you guys for feedback.
Okay, want to first one, feedback? So I got a bunch of things here. Okay, so I felt like the setup at the beginning didn't really make it clear on what you're doing. I was a little confused about exactly what you were doing. You spent a lot of time on some features, but some stuff you skipped over. You talked about, I apologize for this being so negative at the start, because I have good stuff too to say. So, you showed a map that was really busy and had all these pins on it, and you were telling me how this makes it easier, but I don't believe you, because you showed me a map that actually made it look like really busy, and you don't have to show me now. I'm just telling you this is the feedback that I got from watching this pitch. Like if you told me that this makes it easier to meet people, and I'm looking at that. And
this is just the companies.
Yeah, so it's a busy. I don't know. I don't think it's helped you sell. The API feature thing I was a little confused on too. I feel like you have actually really good content. If you had organized it a little bit better into more of a story, so here's some of the good stuff. Like Joseph Kopsher is pretty impressive. Like as an advisor, you just kind of like skip right over that. Like your list of companies that are paying for this is really, your sponsors are really impressive. Like you could have started a story about how the University of Texas has this problem, and you decided to solve it, and now they pay you to do this, and this is, like you could have way sold like this awesome stuff that you have in here that you kind of didn't. So I would suggest like more upfronting some of the cool things, like your team looks awesome, and you just like, we have some developers.
Do you mind if I record this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost done, so.
Oh, okay. Well, we got 2 more, so I'm probably gonna give you some feedback, but
Yeah.
I appreciate that, yeah.
And then, you know, yeah, so that, I guess, that was it, yeah. So, cool, yeah.
I would agree to hover over the why just a little bit more. And I don't know if I didn't get it, or, because I clearly see that there's a problem. You really don't know how to get in touch with anybody when you're going, you know, like when I send out an Eventbrite, when we do a Women at Austin thing, all those people have these arcane names, and they want to meet each other, and sometimes they'll actually send me, who's the organizer, a note. Who was that girl that spoke? That, you know, who? And this actually fulfills a real need, but I wasn't quite sure how you did it. I get. I mean, how do you do it? I mean, you're doing this through LinkedIn?
No, we actually create our own accounts. So you create an account through LinkedIn, so that way we know that you're for real. Because we think.
So you authorize with LinkedIn?
Huh?
You log in with LinkedIn?
Yeah, you log in with LinkedIn, and we pull that information out.
Okay.
Okay, so that.
Yeah.
But back to what Josh had said, the story itself. Instead of just the story that you're giving about the software, the product, make the story about the why. Maybe there could be a little, you know, a vignette, like I was saying, about, you know, someone who was trying to connect with somebody else, because that is actually a problem. Anybody who's been around, you know, these kinds of things know that.
Right.
I really like what you're doing. I like what you're doing a lot, but being maybe a little bit more animated even about why this is so cool, and it's actually it's exceeding even your thoughts of what it could be, and how people are getting involved, and Joe got involved, and this, all these kind of things kind of build the excitement for it, because this is actually kind of cool. So that would just be my comments.
Okay.
Let's see. So I thought it was a strong presentation in general, and so I'm just going to give you my nitpicks. So, you know, there's this old saying about speeches, like, tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them what you told them. And it seems like it could have used a little bit more setup. Like, we were getting a little lost. There was a lot of stuff here, and clearly it was like, wow, like, you guys are pretty far along. You have like a lot of stuff here, and like, I know all those companies, and I know some of the people, and you know, like, wow, like, so you have a lot of social proof. You clearly have a lot of traction proof in terms of like, you actually have a real thing that's live and people are using it. So those are all great, right? I mean, I started to lean forward, like, I want to hear more. Like, this is a real thing, right? So that's all awesome. And I'm in particular. You know, obviously I use Eventbrite, I use Meetup, and to really focus on like what is the big opportunity that those guys are missing. And one of them is like, there are a lot of events where people want to try and connect to each other. And I've been to events where there's like a one-to-one matching process for the people who are going, where you can like say, okay, I want to meet these people. It's like a dating service essentially for an event. Right? And I've not seen that product in the market for like the Eventbrite market. I've seen it for like high-end, like, you know, companies that have already raised a lot of money and want to meet with like super investors that are going to put in, you know, $20 million, you know, like these like high-end matching, but kind of take that and take it to just everyday events where there are like people who really should be meeting each other. And the whole idea of the co-founder meetup is like a great example, right? But there's many more events like that probably. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. And then I was given like how much there seemed to be there, the revenue seemed much smaller than I was expecting. And that's okay. There are lots of other success metrics other than revenue. And this is the kind of business that easily could be defended as one that, you know, you want it to just grow big, and then you're going to start doing some revenue stuff. And maybe the costs aren't that high or whatever, so that's okay. But I don't know, there was a little bit of a mismatch. I was like, wow, 3,000, I was hoping for, I thought we were doing
a lot of them are
in revenue.
partners, and a lot of them are, some of them are sponsors. The revenue model itself is for making sponsorships on kind of like marketing, like Facebook and stuff like that, ads at the event that we have and also on the side. But our membership, we charge $10, and that includes to attend our co-founder, which we usually charge $12 to $15. So it's it's minimal. All the money that I'm putting into myself is I put over 100,000 already, and I got developers overseas doing a lot of the work itself. So, I mean, it does a lot. I mean, I didn't go to a lot of the stuff that it does, and I know it's probably confusing, but I need to get to the story point that you mentioned that I think that it's needs
There's
to.
a ton in there. I mean, it was clear that there's a lot to it, right? That it really is a sophisticated platform. So I wanted to see like a line to like show me the big market, because my mind was going to like, okay, there's this big market and that big market, and clearly there were some really good opportunities, and I just wanted to hear you talk a little about like where you're going and why this is going to be a big thing.
Well, I mean,
I
manage the co-founder, so I'm learning a lot of pains that we do with, because I use Eventbrite, I use Meetup, I use Facebook.
No, we all do it too. Right?
So what I try to do with the tech map is pull events from Meetup, because Meetup doesn't let you push events. And then we can actually post events from our page to Eventbrite, and we can pull events from Eventbrite too. We're trying to do the Facebook, but Facebook is blocked. The only one that can do it right now is Eventbrite so far that we know. So what I tell people is like, we don't want you to use just our platform to get your awareness for your event, but use Meetup and then post it in an hour, then push it to Eventbrite, and then push it from there to Facebook. Every push that you do, if it brings it back to here, you're able to see if the members are attending and the reasons why they're attending the event, so they make a better connection. And those are the things that those other platforms are missing. There's a little few things here and others, like Facebook doesn't charge, for instance.
Do you have any more feedback?
No, that's it.
So I just want to add one extra piece. Like, I like the hat. For some reason, like your hat, like the fact that you have swag already is like made it a little more real for me. So I actually, so.
Yeah, I do have swag.
Yeah.
I'll get you one next time.
I don't know what
I'll
that
get
means.
you one.
I don't know if that's going to helpful, but yeah.
No, it's another like proof that this is a real thing.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Anyways.
And it's not that much to get a hat, but
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So next up is John Moliki, true owner. Sorry, what is it called? True owner.
True owner.
True owner.
You need a laptop too?
Oh, we
Yeah.
We can do it.
Connection like this?
Yeah.
Or is it this one?
Probably good.
Okay.
No, that's it.
There's gonna be last one.
Oh, okay. We're done.
We had one more of those, so. We just have
Okay. All right, hi, I'm John Mullican. I'm with True Owner. It's an app that helps you protect the things that are valuable to you in case they get stolen. So, how many people have had something stolen recently? How many people have bicycles stolen, particularly in Austin?
We buy stuff that's stolen?
Bicycle.
Yeah,
Right here.
I have, and it was really a pain. Just, I commute to work. So I'd gotten a lift, I dropped my bike off to get it serviced right down here at Barton Springs, or Bicycle Sports Shop. Put it right out front. And then video shows, 15 minutes later, somebody came right along, skipped the bike, rode off on it. Really just annoying. But, you know, looking at the guy, you can tell he's probably, homeless. I don't want to go into why that's the case, but this guy probably went right straight down to get cash for that as quick as he could. We went straight to the pawn shop. Problem is that when I wanted to go and look around at pawn shops and see if my bike is there, I had no proof that that's my bike. Pawn shop, owner is paying a fee to make that purchase, right? And if the police were to come along and say, Joe says it's his bike, and he's show me, and you're not going to get your bike back, or any other item, for that matter. It's photography equipment, whatever that is. You have to have proof of ownership in that case. Well, one thing is that pawn shops, they do have to enter for progressive municipalities the serial number of an item that they take in case it's been reported stolen, and the police can then search that in the database and make that flag. So that's what that's part of the problem is that I hadn't collected my serial number. I had no proof of ownership at that time. So that's kind of the problems. Yeah, even if you just found my bike in a ditch, you couldn't get back in touch with me, right? And then as a kind of a separate but related problem, no one fills out the warranty cards. In fact, they're cards. They've been cards since like 1900. We can do better than that, right? But then if you had filled out your warranty card and say this thief then took the bike not to a pawn shop but to another bicycle shop to try to sell it there, where they sometimes buy back bikes. In one case, the bicycle owner, went to the Trek website because this guy didn't look like he belonged on the bike. Sure enough, the owner had registered. He was able to get back in touch with the owner and return the bike. But the other thing is that since no one fills out the warranty cards, manufacturers really have sometimes little data on how their products are used, what the reliability is, and other kind of consumer information that would be valuable to them. So here's my vision, what I would like to see in the future. That pretty much at that registration of items, consumer items by serial number would be just seamless. And it would happen for most consumer items that you buy. So not a few thousand, not 100, but millions of items that are purchased. Drills, TVs, all those kind of items that are valuable to you. It would just happen as you purchase it. So as you scan the UTC, if you're using your credit card that identifies you, then you make that connection and someone scans or you scan the serial number as well on the outside of the box, or if it's an RFID, it all gets connected. Or you could use an app to do that, or right now you could just take a picture, and you could do this now. If you have a laptop and want to get it registered, you take a picture of your serial number, text it to this phone number, that'll get into our website, and that's enough to verify that you had that in your possession, that you own that item. It came from your phone, and it showed that you had the item. Let's say that that there would be less theft, better recovery, more solved crimes, and that you'd actually get better products from manufacturers because they'd have better data on how their items are used, how they fail, and also be able to connect with their customers in order to keep them sold in the future. So looking at just freemium to the consumer, keeping it simple. So if you took that picture that you would take of your laptop serial number and texted that to that number, we get that and just translate it from text into the database. So using like Mechanical Turk to do that for now. But goes into the police pawn database so that that serial number shows up in a pawn shop. Police are going to be flagged. You get that deterrent sticker, and then we'll go out and register you with the manufacturer in case you need service later. So on the manufacturer side, the B2B side, there's value in the data that we would collect with the registration. They would like you to fill out that warranty card that never happens. So we provide a platform to the manufacturer to access that data. Even small bit of reliability data is important to manufacture, even for a small data set. Partner with big box retailers so that if you're at the Best Buy or a Home Depot where tools are often purchased that get stolen from job sites, again, right then there may be a shared fee at the checkout
5 minutes.
as items registered. Okay. Let's see.
Do y'all want me to go first? Okay. So I felt like this has such an amazing potential to be this visual story. Like picture of you happy on your bike riding to work. You lock it up. This thief comes with some mask on, steals it. Like you go finally find it at the pawn shop. You're all happy. The pawn shop's like, we don't know that it's yours. You're sad. And some other family buys your bike. Right. So it's just such an easy story that you could do visually, and it would be so powerful. And so I feel like you should do something like that.
A video or
even just slides.
It's a big picture, so
okay, yeah, because you can tell it's literally in photos. Like you don't even need to say, but you should.
Right. Like a picture of a bike, an awesome bike, picture of a guy like with the robber mask and like the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Like just those three like big pictures.
Because this story just lends so well to something like that. I feel like you have so much power over the consumer right when they have to go prove that their product is like theirs, that it like makes so much sense that people would shell out the money for this, So it's like I have to go to the pawn shop and now pay you to prove that it is my bike, right? Like I would believe you in a second that like people would be willing to shell that to do that. So, you know, I feel like you could have done a little bit of a better job of taking advantage of that. I also felt like I didn't get like how big of a problem this is, or how many, what products does this work for? You know, are there other folks that are doing something similar that you can, use as proof that, that this could work? It took too long for me to understand what it was. Like, it's a website, it's an app. Like, what it exactly is it that I'm doing to make this work? I would have loved to know who a little more about like who your partners are. That is like Trek, like a biking company, going to be like a partner to this, or who are I think there are probably some pretty impressive ones in there. One other just nitpick, like you put a phone number in there. I don't know whose phone number that was, but like to tell us that it supports text messaging, so I didn't make that connection. And I think you could probably not say that the person that stole your bike is homeless. Like, I think that's just information that just doesn't help tell your story, and it's confusing to your person that's like listening to the story, because they're trying to understand if you're telling me that because I need to know that this person is homeless, but I don't really think it matters.
Is that relevant?
Yeah, so
okay.
I totally agree about the visual story.
Okay.
I mean, I was getting your story, but you still had like your main slide up and your title slide, and then when you went on to the problem, you kind of already told me about the problem. So now the slide was like kind of redundant, and I actually preferred hearing it from you than reading it up on the slide. And in general, you don't want people to read your slides. You want them to listen to you. And it's totally natural to kind of, this is sort of PowerPoint-itis, and we all have it to some extent. But, take that, put it in the speaker notes, and replace it with a picture or a chart or a number or a stat or something like that. So, in particular, I know tons of stuff gets stolen, but it would be a great place to say, this many millions or billions of items are stolen every year, and only this tiny percentage of them ever get back to the owner. And bikes are great, but you can say, like, bikes are a great example. That happened to me. You're telling the story there, but you can also say, here are some of the other items that are expensive that get stolen, and it's basically the kind of stuff you buy at a pawn shop. And so, some combination of mobile. I mean, I think this idea that you have is a good one of some sort of super, super easy way of capturing all that information. And I also kind of wanted to know, I was already going to the next step with you. I'm like, okay, like what level of proof do police and insurance companies or pawn shops require for you to, is a photo of the, of the item and the serial number, is that enough? If so, then that's awesome, because I can imagine like an app that kind of walks you through like the most commonly stolen items, and you go and take a picture of them in your house, and it kind of guides you through it, and then you're done. And maybe you just pay for the app, and then you pay for a subscription or something on top of that, so you can leverage the paying of the payment infrastructure or something like that. There's a lot of different ways to go about it. But I was already with you, and I was kind of ready to hear a little more. And you were still talking about the problem, and I was already totally with you. Let's see. I think given that this is still sort of an idea and there's nothing there yet, I would probably move this up to the beginning, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm pitching this because I'm looking for a co-founder, and I think it's a really good idea, and here's where I am. But so I think it might be stronger if you put that up to the beginning to just set this to frame like what stage you're at. Because I was thinking, oh, like how far along are you? Where's the product? And this is a little bit of a letdown. Whereas it could have been like more of a framing at the beginning to help us just, okay, I understand where you are, and now we want to, what you're really asking for is advice and help, which is great. We do that too.
Yeah, well probably, I could have put in there, because I do actually have customers now, I do have something that's functional, so I do have an MVP. So there's some of that.
Well, that's even better.
I know, it's not in there, so I'm just thinking that probably should have been there too.
Often, particularly at this stage, it's not really clear. You want to make it super clear like where you are, and whether that's at the beginning or at the end is okay. And it's totally fine to have a great idea looking for a co-founder. It's totally fine to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue already. That's even better. But yeah, to just make it clear how far along you are, and because sometimes that's not good.
Right.
Yeah, but
So
I would totally do it. I would totally sign up for it.
I won't repeat, because I think I agree with
Yeah.
both of you in the comments you made. And I will say that I would be a customer, so I like this, I like your.
I was ready to download it or do it.
I like your,
Yeah, you could.
your name, true owner, all that totally works for me.
Yeah.
I think that the problem is not that hard to get, and you get kind of excited about it, so you almost don't need to spend too much time.
Right.
This is one of those where I felt like it might be better to put a little bit more focus on why you're the people to do this. Because we had the problem, and it was, you know, we got that, and now we want to know why you.
Right.
So that would be my only thing to add to that.
Okay. Appreciate it. Good feedback. Thank you.
So unfortunately, that's a lot out of time for doing any more of these, but thank y'all for everybody that came out to pitch, and thank you for Jan and for Matt for doing this. So. Paula for organizing. Think about which thing.
The structure of
The which thing?
the structure of
I liked it. Short little something informational at the beginning, go right into pitches, give everybody like a fixed time. I liked it. I think you know, we probably need to do a better setup on kind of keeping people in the framework and not tell them like feedback here should be better.
Super nervous, but the reason why I went to pitches and the reason why I came from that here was because I'm
yeah, I think I could set that up. I could have explained that, guys. It's hard to tell entrepreneurs that.
Yeah, I mean, this is only our second time doing it, so any feedback is welcome.
I think it should be
I sleep next to
You three and we have 7 other people.
I have already like 5 startups in that already use our products.
Okay, so the next one, can you
So yeah,
do
so
that?
what
Like,
is
I just made it back.
because to be honest, it was a little bit disappointing when I asked about the Incubator that what the requirements were. I think that they were
it's cool. It's you know, it's cool to see someone going after an opportunity like that. Like, felt you did, and they're like, I want to go
I'm part of finance entrepreneurial so I don't know what kind of is the fitness to it. It's just exactly what it is. No, I came to it wasn't the MBA audience actually to answer some questions about and my feeling was that you are way too savvy.
You're probably a lot of early adopters.
I mean, it's 2 weeks, you know, like you learn how to so what do you think the minimum threshold actually how this to apply to
I think
couldn't you do both? Couldn't it be like our early marketing strategy, just do the next thing?
maybe that was the thing I got to maybe
yeah, so I think that was like so it was really